country representative from UN and all the members of UN family, Excellency ambassadors and high commissioners and honorable ministers and dear friends from the non-government organizations. Dear friends, I would like to emphasize on the humanitarian day what the UN family and also the all humanitarian organization in Sri Lanka and also from the around the world who help us in most difficult time, especially during the tsunami and also when the IDPs, thousands of people was displaced, especially in the east and north. I don't think we could have achieved what we have achieved at this moment without the help of all humanitarian workers and especially the UN organization. On behalf of the government and people of Sri Lanka, I would like to thank the UN country office, especially the country director and all the other country heads in the UN family, and all the donors help to the UN and directly to Sri Lankan government and the people of Sri Lanka, and the people of those countries who have contributed in various ways. As Neil said, we have achieved a lot, but we have to do much more for the people. And I am very glad you mentioned about the IDPs who have been displaced long before, because they have been displaced more than 20 years. Our Honorable Minister Rizad Badudin is one of them, who are displaced almost 19 years before. So after our aim with you all, immediately after we resettle the balance IDPs who are in the IDP camps in North, we will like your assistance to resettle the people who have displaced many years ago. And I think it is much difficult than to resettle the people who have just displaced 1 year ago, because they have rooted in some of these areas and the damage to their houses and properties are much bigger. So I would like to appeal in this moment to consider about the IDPs who have displaced earlier. And also I must mention Sri Lankan government. When we work with you all, we had some differences of opinion. But I must say, both UN and all non-government organizations and all humanitarian organizations, whether in Sri Lankan or international, they all was agreed where we should go. Only difference was how we should go. So that was the reason of success, because our target was the same. We want to help the people who have displaced and suffering. I can remember there was a lot of arguments with the UN and other organizations about why we build these semi-permanent houses for IDPs. So the rumor was that we are going to keep them for years, and sometimes there was some organizations and some countries prohibited not to give even a dustbin to some of the camps the government built. But finally, everybody now understand what we try to do. So I am thankful for the people who have helped us. And also I must mention, we have, on these humanitarian operations in Sri Lanka also, we have lost lives. Especially I must mention recently, one deminer from, I think from France, sacrificed his life. So I must, behalf of Sri Lankan people and the government of Sri Lanka, must remember those who have sacrificed their life for the betterment of Sri Lankan here. And we also would like to thank finally to all who have helped us, and we would like to work with you all. Those there, we have differences, but we are members of UN, and we want to work with you, and we hope we can achieve the final target where everybody live in peace and safe.
The UN is about doing positive things, making a good impact, so we're using this day to get some messages across. Over the last year and a half, through a broad partnership in support of Sri Lankan national efforts, hundreds of thousands of people who had to flee from fighting to safety were given humanitarian assistance. Difficult, hard, and urgent work was done by Sri Lankans, whether from government, non-governmental organizations, or the security forces, and by people from countries all over the world, working for organizations within the UN country team or international NGOs. As a result, lives were saved, and people were given a chance to get back their strength to restart their normal lives. Funding for this work came from the government, it came from people throughout Sri Lanka, and from governments and people throughout the world. It represented a true partnership, a partnership to help people. There were many challenges, many difficult times, many frustrations, but ultimately, through hard work, through good cooperation, through perseverance, through applying humanitarian principles, and especially through the efforts of the affected people themselves, the corner was turned. People regained their capacity to start rebuilding their lives. People have almost, I think 90% of the people have now returned to their home areas. They and everybody else in the country now have the chance to use the opportunity there is to build sustainable peace and sustainable development.